Coming up on Newsbreak, find out about various cultural practices among students at the U.
Also coming up later on Newsbreak, I meet up with the Red Rocks Gymnastics team to discuss how the Pac-12 has affected them.
Spend the night at the library if it was open.
The ASU's Presenter's Office.
Welcome to Newsbreak. I'm Alex Rasmussen.
And I'm Connor Wallace. Fees for students at the University of Utah have risen 69% since 2001. Alex talked with the tuition department to find out more.
Students are well aware that college isn't cheap, but how many of them know what they are paying for? What makes it so expensive? The answer is student fees. Student fees are mandatory fees that every student must pay whether or not they use what they are paying for. At the University of Utah, there are 15 current student fees, such as the ASU activity fee, which funds the university's student government program, collegiate reader fee, which pays for the local and national newspapers on campus, the transportation fee, which not only pays for the campus shuttles, but the use of the Utah Transit Authority tracks and bus systems. But the most unknown fee I found was the money management fee, which pays for a free service to students for financial advice. Lisa Zalit, the manager of the tuitions department, said that students have to make the choice of either paying the fees or choosing to attend school elsewhere.
All mandatory fees that are attached with all of the tuition charges go through several different groups to determine if they should be charged, what they should be used for, and after it's been reviewed by several groups here on campus, it ends up at the Board of Regents, and they determine if it should be assessed and how much. So they are mandatory. You don't have a choice as to whether or not you want to pay for them. You have to.
Currently, full-time students at the U will pay over $450 a semester in student fees for services they don't even use. As I attempted to find the list of these student fees, I was unable to find them on the university's webpage and had to find them in a state audit report. But after speaking with Zealot, a link is now on the front page of their tuition department.
Although student fees at the University of Utah may seem high, it is apparent that if you wish to attend the university, you're going to have to pay the fees. For Newsbreak, this is Alex Rasmussen.
The University of Utah issues an average of 215 parking tickets daily. Gustavo Rodriguez talked with commuter services to find out what happens when those tickets are not paid.
To get a boot on a car, the person has to have 3 or more tickets. They have to have them for a long period of time. The vehicle gets a boot, the owner is contacted, and if they refuse to pay, the vehicle is taken away.
If we don't have any kind of contact for them and they have some older tickets and we feel like we're not going to see them again very soon, then we do impound the vehicle and tow it if there's no contact made. If we do make contact and they're unable to pay or for whatever reason and they are visitors on campus, we can work something out.
Commuter Services contracts a private towing company to take the vehicle off campus and put it in the towing company's lot. Also, it is the owner's responsibility to pay the towing company's fees as well as the outstanding citations owed to the school.
They garnish their taxes. The DMV will do that because we are a state entity. Basically, you'll see it come out of your taxes once your ticket. It takes a little bit longer, and generally, we try to avoid that because that allows the tickets to increase in the fee, and generally they end up paying more, and then they just take it out of your taxes.
So where does the money go?
It's put into an auxiliary fund for the university to pay for anything the university needs, programs. Also, we pay for our own operations.
So how much time does a student have to pay and get the boot off?
We'll give them all day. We don't boot overnight. So basically, if the student is unable to pay or refuses to pay, That's usually when we will tow, and we'll tow usually around 9 p.m. right before we close, and then they can. Usually the tow company is open 24 hours a day, and so they can go and retrieve their vehicle at any point. They are required to pay their outstanding tickets before the tow company will release it, though.
So in order to avoid a ticket, just follow the signs. This is Gustavo Rodriguez for Newsbreak.
The University of Utah was ranked 134th in the world by the Time for 2012 and 2013. But can diversity and culture be found on campus? Here's Lindsay Wilbur with more.
The majority of white undergrads at the U have many students saying they don't feel the influences of other cultures.
Other than my own, no, not really.
Okay.
I've noticed some, it helps other people learn, but I haven't been influenced by any.
It hasn't really been presented well across campus, at least not from what I've seen.
74% of undergraduates at the U are white, but a closer look at campus life reveals that diversity is represented in more ways than the students themselves.
In fact, a number of different cultural practices occur at the U, which includes this group of Portuguese speakers.
I think especially learning another language, it totally opens the door to a whole new group of people that I couldn't communicate with before. And so I feel closer to the world at large, but at the same time I realize how many other cultures there are that I haven't even been exposed to.
The ancient art of printmaking contributes to student diversity as well. John Andrews is a graduate student who utilizes the Book Arts Studio and is joined by only 16 others currently enrolled in Book Arts classes.
The heritage and the craft of letterpress printing. These guys up at Book Arts are definitely keeping that alive.
Geology students too appreciate other cultures in their studies. Casey Duncan is a senior geology major whose thesis research has led him to study rock formations in Norway.
The payoff for me is coming to find out what the bigger picture is.
Of course, most of the people on campus are Americans, but we are in the United States, so that kind of makes sense, but I do feel like there are lots of opportunities to be exposed to different cultures on campus. I definitely feel that.
The majority of white students at the U may disguise the fact that the U is home to a variety of cultural practices. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Lindsay Wilbur.
Join me later on Newsbreak to find out what one coach considers the safest sport on campus.
The associate.
Welcome back to Newsbreak. With ASU elections coming up, Lisa Hawkins talked with students to find out why you should vote.
The Associated Students of the University of Utah impact the student body with events like Red Fest, services like childcare, and allocating $400,000 to university student organizations each year. Student government elections 2013 begin this month, so we touched base with U of U students to hear why they think it's important to vote.
I think it's important to vote because you kind of put a voice into like, well, I love this school, and then for the future generations that are going to come to this university, and if we can improve the University of Utah, why not vote, firsthand? And
well, students need a voice on campus, so we need to have someone that we can completely relate to get, let us be heard within the staff at the university.
If we want to get what we want, we have to participate and vote and, be actively engaged in what's going on with ASU.
It's important so that way students, instead of being judgmental about what's happening on campus, they have a say in it, and so whatever's happening should be according to what the students want.
I think it's important for students to vote in ASU elections because the people they're voting for represent them on the Board of Trustees and are really their voice in the higher ups, the higher levels of the university.
Well, the ASU student body, they have a lot to do with what happens here on campus. And as an active student, you want to make sure you have a say in that, so you can make sure you're getting the right programs and the right things here on campus.
Are you going to vote this upcoming election?
I didn't even know there was an election, so I guess I will now.
I will vote.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Visit asuu.utah.edu/elections2013 to stay informed about upcoming campaign and election events. Voting begins March 4th and is open until March 7th. Students can log in to their CIS account to exercise their vote and have their say. This is Lisa Hawkins reporting for Newsbreak.
The U.S. National Weather Service says that January was the coldest month on record since 1949, with over 23 inches of snow falling in the Salt Lake Valley. Connor Wallace talked with campus officials to find out what it takes for classes to be canceled.
In recent weeks, the roads and sidewalks have been slick and covered with snow or ice. Due to this type of weather, campus has been closed once this semester already. I spoke with Executive Director for Campus Facility and Construction Operations, Corey Higgins, and he explained the criteria for closing campus.
Well, for weather events and other emergencies that might fall into that kind of a category, the primary consideration or criteria is always the safety of the people on campus. So we look at faculty, students, staff, visitors that are on campus or would be on campus. Is it safe for them to be here?
After determining what the school is able to do, what the community is able to do, and the forecast for the event, then a decision will be made after consulting with groups such as the police, facility and construction operations, the presidency, and environmental health and safety.
Then we, being myself as the director and the chief of police, will consult and maybe with EH&S or others to determine what we would then recommend. That then recommendation and the operational status update would go to the Vice President of Administrative Services, who then would check with the President or senior managers out of the Cabinet to determine if action is to be taken based upon our recommendation.
Campus can also be closed for things other than snowstorms, including large events like football games. However, Higgins said class hasn't been closed and most likely won't for such events.
We haven't really closed campus, but we have warned campus that there's this major event, and that we have encouraged people to, where possible, to accommodate that. I don't know if necessarily canceling classes. We have encouraged staff and faculty, if they don't need to be here, to not be here during those times.
Closing campus is a joint effort that requires time and collaboration. However, the main reason for closing campus is to protect those in and around the university. Connor Wallace reporting for Newsbreak.
The University of Utah's gymnastics team will appear in 4 of the 5 national television broadcasts on the Pac-12 network this season. But has joining the Pac-12 brought changes to the team? Here's Lorian Harker with more.
The University of Utah Red Rocks have been part of the Pac-12 conference since July 1st of 2011. The Pac-12 signing has brought some significant changes to the gymnastics team, but maybe not in the way that you think. Head co-coach Megan Marsden says the team is happy to work towards the goal of being a Pac-12 champion.
It's given us a family of great gymnastics programs to belong to, and we were more of an independent before that.
The Pac-12 also has not changed the funding for the gymnastics team, or crowd attendance for that matter, according to Jennifer White, the marketing director for the U of U Athletics Department, but it has offered a way for the Red Rocks to become more nationally recognized. The Pac-12 invitation did not bring any changes to the scholarship requirements, according to Liz Abel, Senior Associate Athletics and Communications Director for the University of Utah, because the requirements are fulfilled through the NCAA, not the Pac-12. She also says crowd attendance has always been high because head coach Greg Marsden has been an avid marketer of gymnastics around the country, making crowds feel like part of the team's success.
When other coaches weren't involved at all and other teams weren't doing much, Greg was going out in town and getting people interested in gymnastics, worked with the clubs, made the meets exciting. He got into the whole scheme of the meet and the environment at the meet, and started having fun intros and fun music and making it an atmosphere that people really enjoyed, kind of made it participatory for the fans, and so they like to come back because they feel like they were a part of maybe the team's success.
Support and admiration have always been high for the Red Rocks, even before the Pac-12 signing. But hopefully through this, they'll be able to earn more national notoriety. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Lorian Harker.
Recently, parking on campus has been limited. This has forced students to park either in visitor parking or at the meters, instead of parking in E lots or in U lots. But with parking becoming so limited, are there plans to expand? Kimmy Rasmussen talked with Commuter Services to find out more.
A large number of students are experiencing troubles finding a place to park on campus. Here's Laura Healy from Commuter Services with a scoop on building additional parking.
Adding new parking, we have to have property designated. Of course, campus administration has to give us the okay. And right now there's more of the thinking of, we want to become a more sustainable campus. So to have more parking isn't really the direction a lot of people want to go.
Laura was able to give some insight on how Commuter Services is pushing students to be more eco-friendly.
Well, one thing we always encourage is people use their bus pass to ride tracks and UTA buses and help us become a sustainable campus.
Although there are no immediate changes in the near future when it comes to parking at the university, it is enlightening to know even the parking administration wishes they could do something for our frustrated students.
Parking at this school is so bad. I buy a pass every semester and I still find myself paying for visiting parking. I live so close to the campus and I have to leave at least an hour early just so I can circle around parking lots. Sometimes it can take up to a half hour.
If you feel like you're sold short with your parking permit, take advantage of your free UTA pass and forget about the troubles of parking. Reporting for Newsbreak, I'm Kimmy Rasmussen.
On a different note, Ernesto Flores caught up with the University of Utah Shooting Club.
Guns have received a lot of negative press in the recent past, but for Coach DeLong, shooting a gun is a sport of focus and dedication. So Coach, when did the university shooting team get started?
Well, in its current incarnation, it started in 1995, but I have a friend who shot on the team in the late 60s or early 70s when it was run by ROTC. And there's still some years ROTC fields a team, and in fact they won the national ROTC championship 2 or 3 or 4 years ago.
Is shooting run like football, baseball, and basketball by the university, or is it independent of the youth?
It's run under the auspices of the sports club program, which puts it in the same category with rugby and lots of other things.
What sort of competition is there for these local teams, and where do these competitions take place?
Right here. The official name is preliminary tryouts for the U.S. national team. And unlike football or even baseball, basketball, there is an actual U.S. national team that represents the U.S. in international competition, including World Cups, World Shooting Championships, and the Olympics.
Are there classes offered that could help build the shooting team?
We do teach the marksmanship classes here, so that pre-selects a lot of the team members come out of the marksmanship classes. Unfortunately, a lot of people take the marksmanship class during their senior year when they're looking for something fun. They need another credit to graduate. They're looking for a fun thing to do, so they sign up, and then that doesn't work for being on the shooting team. We've had very, very few people on the team for all 4 years.
The university's not known for its shooting team, but these members hope to put their name on the map as they shoot to qualify for the Collegiate National Championship.
Thank you for watching Newsbreak, the show produced by students for students.
That's our show for the evening, but you can stay connected to campus life at our website, www.newsbreak.utah.edu.